Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the stream. As you can see, things are a little different today. I have a very special guest here with me today. This is the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Big Daddy Dreamer. That's right, this is my old man, my pops, and he is here for something very special today. As you can see, we're wearing these swaggy shirts featuring these lovely characters. What? Oh my god! Thank you, Vanna. But we're wearing these shirts today because we're talking about something very, very special to us. Exactly. Cray Cray Daisy knows what's going on. We are talking about the Dream Dragon animated project, which is a project I have been very, very closely tied to and have worked with my dad on very diligently since the beginning of 2020. What, like February of 2020 is when we really started?
January 28th.
January 28th?
I actually have the date on my calendar. January 28th of 2020 was the day I decided to reinvigorate the Dream Dragon project and try to use this character to bring what I believe is some much needed sanity in a world that's going insane.
In a world, in a crazy world.
I mean,
world.
You know, it's funny because, and this is kind of like completely off topic, but one of the things that I've noticed over the last year and couple months now since we've been thrown into the world of a pandemic is that there's one group that seems to be being overlooked, like as far as the way that this whole thing is affecting them and really what it's doing to them, and that's little kids.
Yep.
Because I think we sometimes forget that a child who's under the age of like 15 is still going through major mental and physical development. And so when you're not equipped to understand certain things, then the way that it affects you is going to be much, much different than if you are equipped for that. And
I think a lot of people are taking for granted the fact that kids are very versatile in the sense that they can adapt to situations and life situations very, very well. But this has not been this hasn't been an easy situation for anybody to adapt to. And I think we're just taking for granted the adaptability of kids. They need help still. This is a lot to deal with. I mean, if you yourself have had any trouble dealing with this sort of situation, you better believe that a kid who isn't even nearly as well equipped as you might be is having an even rougher go of it. So this type of media, this type of wholesome entertainment that can also teach and help, maybe help develop some coping mechanisms or things for children to actually be able to utilize to deal with these sort of issues, it's even more important now than it's ever been before.
Well, I think it allows for an assistance to parents. Mm-hmm. You know, because let's be realistic. It's always been difficult to speak about certain topics to your kids. Oh, yeah. Always. I don't care when it was. 1,000 years ago or today. There are certain topics that are difficult to talk to your children about. One, because of the sensitivity of the information in itself, the sensitivity of the topic. Mm-hmm. But also, most people are not... They're not prepared to talk about those type of topics.
Well, I mean, you see it in movies all the time when they have to give their kid the talk.
The talk?
And it's always like and it's true. It's really like that. I mean, you gotta remember, stuff like that and tropes like that come from a place of realism. And there are definitely some topics that are hard to broach with a child. And there's some topics that maybe you don't want to broach with a child as a parent because, I don't know, there's some crazy stuff in the world. Cavemen probably had it the hardest to be a perpetual language barrier. That's Ray.
Ow! Hey, bud. Yeah, I've lost like 50 pounds since I saw you last.
Yeah, he really has.
If I don't see you soon, I'm gonna freaking disappear.
But yeah, so that's the main motivation behind getting this reinvigorated and restarted. This isn't a new idea. This is an idea that was created over
35 years.
Yeah, over 35 years ago.
No, 17.
Oh wait, that's Spencer. I can never remember.
That's Spence?
Yeah.
In that case,
nah.
It's still the same. I've lost my 50 pounds since I've seen you.
And he's gonna disappear.
I'm gonna disappear before I see you next.
But yeah, so we see a need, fill a need. We saw a need, and we're looking to fill it with something that is wholesome, from the heart, and has had some actual thought put into it.
And I'd like to explain kind of what we've done, and like I want to recap kind of the journey over the last
what we've
year.
done and where we're going.
Yeah, what we've done, where we're going, and why we've decided to do some of the stuff that we're doing. Okay, because that's another thing I think is extremely important. If for somebody to get behind something, first off, they need to understand it. They need to understand the rationale and the reasoning for it, and I completely understand that, and I respect that. And if you do get behind something that you don't understand, I think that's a mistake.
That's bad business.
It's bad business. So when I was, just to kind of give you a quick little, the Reader's Digest version, and for anybody who's under 100, let me explain what that means. There was a magazine called the Reader's Digest, and basically what they would do is they would take the top stories of the day, and they'd compress them down into literally like a half a page.
Yeah, guys, for anyone my age, he's going to give you the Spark Notes version.
Yes. Or the meme version. This is just, yeah, right? Wouldn't that make sense? Isn't that kind
no,
of?
I'd say Spark Notes is a little more.
I have no idea what that is.
Spark Notes, they used to be these cheat books.
Oh, Cliff Notes.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, if you didn't
that's
want,
what they called them in my day.
if you didn't want to read the whole of Mice and Men, you could grab the Spark Notes version of it and get the gist of it.
Okay, that's what Cliff Notes are.
And if you're
it's actually Cliff's notes.
if you were good at lying, you could get away with reading that instead of the book. But most kids weren't good at lying, so the teacher would be like, "Did you just read the Spark Notes?"
No. So, when I was younger, I went through some family issues. Okay, which I think a lot of people have experienced issues that have stemmed from family to a certain degree. Mine ended up to where the juvenile court system got involved. And I actually became a ward of the state of California for a couple of years toward the last tail of my juvenile life.
So the state of California is kind of like your dad.
The state for a while, but then I became an emancipated minor when I turned 18, and that emancipation made it to where... Yes, this is true. It is very true. But, I had troubles with myself, okay? And as a result of that, a result of my own actions, I got myself into an issue where I ended up a ward of the state of California. And, it was a difficult time. But one of the things that happened, it was about a year and a half, 2 years, where I was kind of in the system and dealing with this stuff. And basically, what ended up happening is about 4 months before my 18th birthday, I actually got arrested, and I wound up in juvenile hall. And I was there for about a month. And during the time that I was there, and basically the system had basically told me, you're really not a bad kid. You're just making some pretty bad decisions, and you're doing some pretty stupid things. So maybe if you could pull your head out of your butt, you might have a chance.
Got something going for you.
And so as a result of that, I had a person that was part of a couple of organizations in San Diego. This was happening down in San Diego. It was the Gatehouse and the Bridge, and these were two San Diego Youth and Community Services organizations. That this guy showed up. I'm in juvenile hall. Okay, I'm with a bunch of criminals in training, and some that could be trainers. Some of them they've
been
already
through the ringer.
Yeah, they'd already been through the ringer. They weren't even 18 years old yet, and I was out of place. I really was. Now I'm very adaptable. Where I lived, we lived in Navy housing when I was growing up, and people rotate through a lot.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we both pride ourselves on is that no matter where you drop us, we'll figure out how to thrive.
I'll figure it out, man. I don't care where it is. So I will figure it out. And so I had to kind of learn how to make friends quickly. Be able to really identify, is this person compatible with me? And if they're not, I need to move on and talk to somebody else, because I don't have the time. I didn't have the luxury of a 6 month to a year feeling each other out and kind of like friendship, courtship type of thing. I didn't have the time for that.
Thanks for the lurk, Dory. Totally not driving and listening. Hey, you're welcome to drive and listen.
Yeah,
just don't drive and watch.
Don't drive and watch. That's the biggest thing.
Luckily, this is a little more podcasty,
Yes.
so it's perfect for casual listeners.
Absolutely. But Dory, thank you very much for tuning in, sweetie.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. But basically, I wound up, and this guy shows up, and he's kind of like, hey, we've got this program. It's kind of like a group home, and we have two different statuses there. You're either short-term or you're long-term. Short-term was a no longer than 2 week stay at this place. Long-term was 3 months. And they could accommodate up to, I believe it was 6 kids at once.
Oh, wow.
1 long-term boy, 1 long-term girl, 2 long-term girls, 2 short-term boys. I mean, it was basically 1 long-term of each and 2 short-terms of the other.
That makes sense.
Okay? 3 boys, 3 girls. That was the way that it was set up. Well, I got accepted to be one of the long-term. That means 3 months. And so, quite literally, when I showed up at this place, it was 3 months to the day of my 18th birthday. Well, when I got there, I kind of, I was going through a different mindset. I was playing the victim all the time, man. I was like, I look at all these things that have happened to me. Look at all these things that would happen to me. And actually, I had a person that, his name was David. And the first night I was there, I got there relatively late. I got there probably about 8 o'clock at night, 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And for the most part, the whole rest of the...
Thanks for the host, Seb.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. But the whole rest of the kids had gone to sleep that night already. So I'm there, and there's this staff member, and they literally had to spend the night at the location. I mean, there was somebody on staff 24 hours a day. And so David said, hey, you want to talk? And I said, yeah, man. So I sat there, and probably for... without exaggeration, 3 or 4 hours, maybe even 5 hours, I just sat there spilling my guts about all the stuff that had happened to me and how I had been such a victim of all this stuff. And, it was just, and I'm thinking by the time I'm done, he's going to be, oh my God, you're such a misunderstood young man. And, this is the perfect place for you. And we're going to mold you into this great person. When I got done, man, he looked at me and this is exactly what he said. And I've never forgotten this. He said, you make a lot of excuses, don't you? And I'm like, dude, have you not heard anything that I've been saying?
He's like, he heard everything.
And then he said, and what I mean by that is, it seems like you don't want to realize that you've had control over everything that you've talked about, but you've decided to relinquish that control. And I was thinking, wait a minute, how could I have control of this stuff if all this stuff was being done to me by other people? And then he kind of pointed out that the to me was by me. The other people were forced to basically intercede because of the stuff that I was choosing to do. And when it did that, I was like, oh. I was like, oh my God. So I ended up, a couple days into me being there, a teacher that basically went from place to place within the school, I guess the school district, if you want to call it that. But basically, she was a court-appointed teacher that would go in there and basically she taught us. It was specifically for these programs. So she shows up. Her name is Jerry, and believe it or not, I'm in contact with her to this day. Okay, and also Bruce, who was the person that did my intake. I'm in contact with him to this day. These are people that were, unfortunately, David passed, but I was in contact with him, like quite literally, until just before his passing. So she sits me down and said, okay, look, here's the situation. I had actually gotten set out of state for almost 8 months. And during that time, and I had been going to school the whole time. Well, during that time, a lot of my transcripts, because I was going from place to place to place, they ended up getting lost. And so when she looked up my transcript, she basically said, you're supposed to be a senior in the middle of your year with approximately
X amount of credits.
1 semester to go. Yeah. Right? She said, I've looked everything up. You're missing 2.5 years worth of your credits. And I was like, what?
How did that happen?
So instead of I was supposed to be a graduating senior with 1 semester left, but instead it was like I was in the middle of my 10th grade year as far as my credits were concerned. And she said, look, we can sit here and we can cry and bellyache about the fact that the reality is what the reality is, or you can choose to do something about it. She said, we have 2 options. She said, the first one is but the laws of the state of California say you have to go to school. Now, whether or not you do anything is completely up to you. You've got 3 months before you turn 18. You can decide what you want to do with those 3 months. If you want to just blow it off, she said, I'll come in here, I'll sit you down, we do these. You don't do any work, It's not like I can force you to do it. And then when you leave here, you'll leave here. And if anybody ever looks back on your transcripts, you're going to have, officially a 10th and a half grade education on paper. Or we can figure out what it would take for you to get your diploma. And I just decided, I said, you know what? I want to know what it's going to take to get my diploma. I said, let's at least put this on paper. Let me at least see what it would take. So she went and crunched the numbers. And when she came back the next day, she sat me down and she said, okay, so here's the deal. You need to do a minimum of 5 courses. So it was like English, math, science, it was the normal stuff.
History and that sort of thing.
She said, in order for you to graduate and do it legitimately, you're going to need to do a minimum of 5 assignments per class per day. 7 days a week for the rest of the time that you're here. Now, I want to put that in perspective. That means 20 on a minimum, 25 assignments daily. 7 days a week. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Not easy, but you know what?
Easy.
I'm going to do this.
But worth it.
I can absolutely do this. Now, also, I ended up getting a part-time job for a roofing company. Now, when I say part-time job, the only reason it was part-time is because I was only working 4 days a week because I was still 17. There were still labor laws. Yep. But I was working 4 days a week, 8 hours a day in the hot sun, and I was actually doing roofing. I mean, doing it. I put shingles. I learned how to shingle. I learned how to do a tear off. I learned how to do a resheeting. I learned how to do, hot mopping. I learned how to do all this stuff.
So basically, he was very busy on top of it.
So I was very busy on top of it.
More than just schooling going.
But I said, okay, now as far as English was concerned, what my teacher actually said is, because I told her I like to write. Writing became one of the things that I wrote a lot of poems, and it was an outlet for me. And so I said, can I write some poems or something to be able to count towards credit towards my English for like creative writing? She said, absolutely. She said, but I can't do like this, you do a little limerick, roses are red, violets are blue, I hope that I graduate so I can be like you. It couldn't be something like that. It needed to be
some
substantial.
effort put into it.
Yeah. So I started writing things, and I ended up writing this little poem, 16 lines, and it was all about a little kid who has a dream, and in the dream, this magical dragon shows up to be his play companion. That's what it was. And I called him the Dream Dragon.
What a name. What a ring.
So that's where he started from.
Yes, that
he started from I
would buy that
basically.
Those red violets are blue. I want to graduate so I can be like you. Yeah, it's perfect.
But yeah, so that's where the whole idea stemmed from. Well, fast forward 20 years. Actually, no, about 10 years. It was 1999, and the year 2000 was the year of the dragon. Well, I had decided that if I didn't do something with it by then...
If that ain't a sign, what is...
Yeah, I had decided that if I hadn't done something with the character by the time I was 30, that it was nothing but a pipe dream. It was never going to happen. Nothing was ever going to happen with it. And so when I was 29 years old, some pieces fell into the right place. Yeah, and I ended up being able to produce a hard copy picture book. I did an audio cassette that went with it. I was able to secure a major star to be the voice of the character.
Yes.
I was able to do all these things. I got myself on 2 different talk shows. I was on the Sally Jesse Raphael show. I was also on the Rob Nelson show.
Sally Jesse was what, like 2001?
No, it was 2000.
2000, and then I remember Rob Nelson was 2004.
Yeah.
Hey Rose, how you doing?
So basically, the deal with the Sally show is, so I had attended prior to going into the court system. The last high school I had attended was Santana High School in Santee. Well, in 2000, there was actually a fatal student-involved school shooting. Well, when that happened, one of the things that I had done during that 1999 time frame is I had created a safety program using the Dream Dragon to basically teach safety to kids.
Yeah, and actually it was really cool. There we had I remember specifically we had these mouse pads, and they had the Dream Dragon on there wearing like a
police officer's uniform.
Like a police officer's uniform. Looks super dope.
It was called the Dream Dragon Safety Squad.
Yes,
that's basically what it was. Well, because of that, I had done some public relations stuff, so I kind of knew how a press release worked and things like that. So when this school shooting happened, I created a press release that basically stated what my position was in regards to the student-involved school
as a
shootings.
prior denizen
Yeah,
of the school.
and also as somebody who had attended that
Yeah.
actual school. Well, my position was, if your child is so messed up and so angry that they're ready to go to school
Do something that
with
drastic.
a gun and kill a classmate, and you don't know as a parent that there's a problem, that's
Something's
a
up.
parenting issue.
Something's up.
That is an issue between you and your child, and it needs to be mended, type of thing, right? So I wrote that in a press release, and I sent it out.
The right person saw it.
The right
and
person
contacted
saw it.
him.
Yeah, they contacted me and they said, we'd like to fly you out to
Yeah,
New
and,
York.
and at the time, the Sally Jesse Raphael shows, even before my time, honestly, like remembering, I was alive. I don't remember anything from before I was 4. It's a blank slate. It's kind of scary. But yeah, it was a really renowned talk show at the time.
Yeah, Sally she had been hosting her show for years.
I mean,
she had a viewership of over 4 million.
She was.
They actually told me that.
She was like in what, a pre-Oprah era, or like right
No,
when Oprah
during
started?
about the same time.
Yeah,
About the same time.
around the same time. They were the big talk shows at the time.
Yeah, Sally would say she was.
Yeah.
And so to be invited there to be a guest panelist as kind of an expert on parenting, and I'm thinking to myself, man,
I'm not an
I'm
expert.
not an
at
expert,
parenting.
but you know what?
Perception is reality.
Perception is reality, and here's the other thing too.
was-
I have opinions, but my opinions are not based on emotion. They're not. My
They're based
opinions
on-
are based.
they're based on
my opinions are
experience.
based on experience and fact. And so when I was looking at what I believe to be the core issue, look, I watched all the information about Columbine. You know, I knew all the stuff that had actually happened. I found out that in the rooms of these kids who went and did this massacre at a freaking school, there was bomb making equipment on their dressers. And all I'm thinking is, how did their parents not know? And then I realized it's because their parents didn't care. You know,
That's
they
how
didn't
someone
care.
ends up like that.
That's how somebody ends up like that. So I was like, this is a parenting issue. So basically what they did for that show is they brought me in as a person saying that I thought it was a parenting issue. They brought this other lady in that she said it should be a teen support issue, that teens need to support teens. These other two guys came in, one of them saying it's because of video games, the other one saying it has nothing to do with video games. And then we had one lady who came in there that said, because I guess her son had been threatened with a gun at school, you know, I was like, it's not the same thing. You know, that's, you know,
No, being threatened and being shot are two different things.
Using a handgun for intimidation is different than coming in and
actually
literally killing
using a
your
handgun.
school. You know, so my position was, if we can just get the parent-child thing figured out, a lot of these other things aren't even going to be necessary.
Well, a lot of those things. I mean, I played my share of violent video games, but I've never had the urge to enact any of that stuff in real life. And that's not because the video games have gotten even more violent nowadays. But I'm fairly well adjusted, I'd say. Is that a fair assessment?
I'd say so.
Yeah, and
well, you know, one of the things that we did with Nathaniel, and I did with my other kids too. Look, we've always been very open. I've got skeletons in my closet, but I took the door off my closet a long time ago.
so now the skeletons aren't so scary.
They're not.
Now
Because I'm willing.
Now they're just casual Halloween decorations.
What, you want to know my past? Ask me. You want to know my past? I mean, I'm sitting here telling you, as a youth, I was a dipshit, and I did some things that I shouldn't have. It wound up getting me arrested.
As a youth.
You know, hell, it ended up happening a little bit as an adult too, because when I first became an adult, man, it was like I suffered from preacher's daughter syndrome. I was all of a sudden in the world, and literally, I didn't have to answer to anybody.
He was given free reign.
I was given free reign, so I started doing all sorts of
Yeah.
stupid stuff. But I woke up and I wised up. So, and that's, I think, one of the reasons. You know, some of the people that are in the chat right now, they're friends of Bananials here, and the reason that they're here is because they know me, and they know that
they actually know.
They
him.
know me, and they've listened to me. They if they have a problem, they know that I'm a person that they can come to, and I'll give them a real answer. I will not blow smoke. That's the other thing too.
That's the other thing that he's done for me that's really helped me in that regards. Him and my mom, they don't pull punches when something sucks, and it obviously sucks to hear, but it makes the times when they say this is really good actually mean something. Because this is for all parents out there, anyone with kids. If your kid comes to you and says, "Hey, what do you think of this? And obviously, if they're like 7 and they come with their crayon drawing and it looks awful, like don't be like, wow, you want to be an artist? You suck. No, that's different. But if a kid's coming to you like, you know, and they're of age enough to where they're really trying to produce something and it's not so good, tell them. Tell them that. Tell them like, you know, this could use a little work. You know, obviously deliver it in a way that isn't awful.
And that's what we tried to do.
Yeah, and
I think it's worked really well.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows him knows the type of person he is, and that did not happen on accident.
No.
It didn't, okay?
It was orchestrated.
So what we've tried to do now is we're looking at this world that is going insane. The kids are the ones that are really being victimized.
Yes.
I mean, really, if you really look at it, children, because kids are sitting there and things were already screwed
They're
up.
lost.
They'd watch they'd see the news. The news would be on. Parents are watching it. Kids aren't necessarily watching, but they're hearing all the things that are going on. Maybe they look up and they're seeing visuals that are
what ends up
disturbing.
happening is you get these kids watching news and you get one of two reactions. Either they don't know, so it's just scary, or they do know, so it's even more scary. And
either way, it's scary.
Yeah, it's scary, and it's something hard to deal with, especially as a child.
Yeah.
I mean,
and now for the last year,
that's all they've gotten.
also been seeing their parents, their teachers, the people that they've
The
always
world being
looked,
affected
the
by
way that
this
they've
stuff.
looked up to, that maybe they never saw like that kind of stress before.
Mm-hmm.
Like personally, it's because you usually look. Let's be realistic. When things are messed up, if you're a parent, you hide that from your kids. You don't want your kids to know that everything's falling apart.
Here's a great example. I was in 3rd grade at the time when 9/11 happened. That was something that was probably the first like media like coverage that I remember specifically seeing as a child that stuck with me. All of 2020 was like that for everyone else.
That's 2020 was a news clip that these kids have remembered.
Yes, that will be the thing. 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, they're like, yeah, I remember. Remember when we were kids and the whole 2020 thing happened? Oh yeah, I remember. That helped, that helped shape me a little bit of how I am today. That's gonna be the thing for these kids. And if they have to go into this, literally, and everyone getting sick or dying, exactly. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot for an adult to deal with. So imagine how hard it is for a child, because...
And they're not going to know how to articulate.
Yeah, and one of the other things to think about is this has not been easy for adults to deal with as well.
Hasn't been easy for
So kids are seeing their parents not knowing how to deal with something. The people in their lives who they should be able to count on most.
And that's the thing that will shake a child to their core when they see that their parents don't know what to do. Because let's be realistic, you guys. Until a kid's about 5, you are a superhero if you're a parent. That's how they see you, because they know that their existence has completely...
Sometimes, literally.
That's for another story. It's for another stream.
But anyways, back on track with the Dream Dragon and why we're doing it. Because the world is in a way as it is now. The world is different than it was, and it will. I don't think it'll ever be quite the same. There will be things that stick around, things that have changed now for a somewhat permanent amount of time as far as humanity is concerned. And out of that, we knew we needed to create something that could be obviously fun to watch, because getting a break from the hubbub of daily life for anybody is super important. But it needed to be fun, but also educational. Something that... Empowering. The 3 E's.
I have two. I have two. I don't know if you want to call them mottos, but basically, I promote 1 to 3 E's, which is education, empowerment, and entertainment. I believe that if you want a child to be able to actually benefit from something that they're experiencing, you need to be able to embed all 3 of those into it. What's happened, in my opinion, is the first 2 have been nixed. And it's now everything. You
never get all 3.
Yeah,
you might get education and entertainment.
Everything is entertainment driven. It's
yes, it really is.
Can we sell ad space for this? That's what the networks are looking at, right? The other motto is dare to dream, because to me, if you want to get ahead in this world, you need to be able to dream. You need to be able to say, I'm not going to be satisfied with the status quo. I want to do something better. I want to do something bigger. I want to do something. Okay? And my something was to leave a mark that when I am dead and I'm gone and my bones have been, they've dried up to whatever they're going to be.
When he's a scary mummy.
That I was able to leave a legacy of positivity. That's really what I want to do. I want to leave something to where, even if it's not my name or my face or anything directly connected to me, the idea that would benefit
a lasting
future
impact.
Generations would be able to last. Okay, and so we basically looked at this whole thing and we considered looking for investors, which I could do like that. Okay, we thought about approaching the different networks. We thought about going to the streaming services. We were looking into all these different things. Okay, but the bottom line was this: what I want to do doesn't have a lot of profitability to it. That's just the reality, okay? Because of what I really want to do. I really want to get this out there and make it available.
Well, it's not being done for profit's sake.
It's not being done for profit's sake. That's not why I'm doing all of this. And I mean, the pilot episode that we did, we funded internally.
Yeah, we
and that's a five.
Yeah, we didn't just fund it internally.
Yeah, that's a five-figure endeavor.
We kept
guys.
a lot of things in house. I mean,
a lot.
Yeah, voices, the production, all that stuff.
4 o'clock in the morning, working.
3, 4 o'clock in the
6,
morning.
7 o'clock in the morning.
When we finished adding the sound effects into the cartoon, it was 12 p.m. the next day after we had already started.
Yeah.
I remember going to sleep at like 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. watching, half asleep in the living room watching the cartoon, going, "Wow, we did
this.
We
Can we
did
go to
this."
bed?
Yeah, no, seriously, and I don't regret doing it for a second.
Me neither.
But it takes a lot,
But anything worthwhile does.
Yes.
It takes a lot of effort, and that's the thing we understand. So we looked at everything, and when we looked at the investor thing to me, right off the bat, was no good.
Too money driven.
It's too money driven, because an investor wants a return. That's what the whole thing is. I was doing this. I'd rather make a difference than $1. Okay? An investor doesn't want to listen to that. They do not want to hear that.
They don't care about your differences.
Where are we going to sell this at? Well, I was going to provide it for free on our YouTube channel. You put the word free next to investor, and you get this.
I don't get it. Nope.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
They don't want that. Okay? So then I thought, well, what about the regular networks? Okay? And I've seen what they've done with those.
Unfortunately, the regular networks are very similar.
It's even worse. No, they're even worse. They want more. At least an investor has realistic expectation. Man, the networks, they're like, first off, they'll take your idea and then they'll change it into whatever they feel is the right message.
Exactly. And inject their own writers.
Yeah,
exactly.
Looking at the messages that I'm seeing that kids are being faced with these days, I don't understand it. First, I don't understand how parents are even allowing this. I don't know how parents are like, "Why you're telling me my 4-year-old is mentally developed enough to be able to make like literally life-altering decisions about like things
Anything?
like sexuality?" I'm going, why? When did a 4-year-old and sexuality ever become synonymous? Those things should be. You got a 4-year-old? Let them play in the freaking sandbox, man.
Put them in the mud.
Let them play in the mud. Let them have some. Let them
Let 'em be
climb a
kids.
tree. Let them be a kid. But
And
for
those
some
are-
reason,
those
our
are the-
society today is thinking that they should be taking on things that they're
They
not
shouldn't be
ready
taking
for.
on.
So it's like we need to give our kids their childhood back.
Yes.
That's the first thing. So I
And-
was like,
and
those other organizations, they aren't looking for.
Yeah, no,
They're
not at all. They're looking for something. And you know what? I can respect that I walk in at the right time. Yeah,
Absolutely,
welcome, Vivi.
Vivi. Hi.
Yeah, we're just talking about the Dream
The
Dragon
cartoon.
project and why we feel it's important. Basically, networks, investors, that sort of thing.
Even the streaming services.
No, not about sexing 4-year-olds. No, we were talking about how there are decisions and things being thrust upon children that they are not prepared
They're
to
not prepared
do. Hell,
for.
there are certain things that they're like telling children that they should be worrying about that I still don't worry about because I don't wanna.
Yeah, kids aren't being look.
They're not allowed to be kids.
And I think one of the main reasons for that is because if you let a kid be a kid, they're not as good of a consumer.
True.
But if you start laying all these other things out there, then all of a sudden a child is forced to become a consumer. Now, basically, it's being paid for by parents or grandparents or whatever else. But it seems to me, because I'm a very rational person. I can look at a situation and understand it. Whether I agree with it or not, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I understand it. I can
Barry.
Hey, Barry. I can understand the motivations that are behind the actions, even when those motivations are diabolical. I can still see where their reasoning was to do it. I don't want kids to be consumers. I want them to be able to basically have a chance at being a child. Kids are being robbed of the availability of childhood. And when that happens, what's going to happen is you're going to get an entire generation that doesn't know, they never got that chance to experience a skinned knee, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's like those things build character as a child. I'm watching videos of kids that they get their finger touched and they start bawling, oh, I'm going to die. I'm like, holy crap, man, I was falling out of trees and getting concussions and doing stuff. And my mom never even found out because I wouldn't want to tell them.
Sib, if you go to that link, it goes to the Dream Dragon website, and the cartoon is right there on the front page.
Yeah, anybody who hasn't seen it, it's available at thedreamdragon.com. It's right on the homepage, and it's the pilot episode. And again, it's through our YouTube channel that we... What our hopes is this, okay? I want to kind of bring everything back.
Let's bring it back to what we're doing. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so basically... considering that investors wasn't really going to work out, or doing it through a network wasn't really going to work out, just because there's too much red tape that involves bastardizing a good thing, and we did not want to do that.
No, we wanted to maintain the integrity of the idea.
We decided to skip the middleman instead of looking for someone that we'd have to sell our soul to.
That's basically what it boils down to.
We wanted to go to the people we're doing this for. We wanted to go to you guys. We wanted to go to the world. And that's why we've created a GoFundMe campaign. We are looking to raise some money in order to produce future episodes of the show, because we genuinely feel this could be something that could do something real great in the world. Here, let me, if you go right, oh, perfect, thank you. If you go to that link, you can see the whole campaign, and you can see what's available, like as far as the donations and whatnot, and any amount helps. If you have $1 to send $1. If you got $100 to send $100. We are not being picky in regards to amount. Don't feel like you have to donate a certain amount. We will appreciate it regardless.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, though, just to put that in context, we created a web page on our website that is dedicated to recognizing every single person that helps us out with this, whether it's $1 or 30,000.
Yeah,
you know, we have actually set up like basically tiers that will. It's how we're going to say thank you.
And like to put this into context, right now, the original cartoon that we have posted on our YouTube page has a little over 20,000 views, which means if we got $2 per person, we'd have what we need and more to produce an episode.
Yeah.
So,
and we're going to start doing it. That's another thing too, is that, look, I know on the GoFundMe, anybody who knows me knows that I can talk, okay? Because I would rather tell you more now so you have all the information than have to come back 10 times and fill in blanks that I could have covered to begin with. So our GoFundMe is actually, it's got a lot of information. It's got printed stuff, it's got images, it's got some videos.
It's a lot of good information. And if this sort of project, if this sort of animation or this sort of content is something that you actually can appreciate, if you can actually look at it and see the value of it, I highly recommend checking out the GoFundMe and actually reading the whole story. There's a lot of very, very good information in there, and this is coming from a genuine place, which not a lot of things can say nowadays.
Not anymore.
Not at all. There's a lot of bullshit out there. And to be able to create something that can have a positive impact on this world from a young age, because that's what's happening. We teach people to have to strive to make an impact on the world when you're older, but if you're never given any tools to do that with when you're younger, how do you do that?
What does that even mean when you get to the position that you can actually do it?
It's an abstract idea. It's an abstract idea with no proper direction.
No,
and that's
because you're not equipped.
You're not at all.
If you don't have if you don't have the foundation to build something amazing, it's going to collapse. It's going to. So you need that foundation, and that's you.
There have been shows like this in the past that have.
Yes, there have.
I have a bunch that I used to watch on PBS. There was a show called Cyber Chase, which helped me understand math.
Blue's Clues.
Yeah, Blue's Clues would help me understand tons of stuff.
Even Dragon Tales, that's an interesting too. I know Ron Rodecker.
The creator
He
of
was the creator of
Dragon Tales,
Dragon Tales.
It's almost time for Dragon Tales. Yeah, that's all we know.
As a matter of fact, there's actually a quote from Ron on our website
Yes, that's
because
true.
I contacted him about this. He knows about the Dream Dragon. Matter of fact, he got me a sit down with Sony early days because of some similarities of the names.
Yeah, exactly. Bucky O'Hare and the Toad Wars. Yeah, those classic children's cartoons that helped instill things.
But
in us.
they had a message. Look at these. Look at a lot of the stuff that's out there now, and ask yourself. Watch an episode, and then ask yourself,
Did I learn anything?
what was the message of this? Because most of them don't have one.
We see actually parodies of that in shows like Rick and Morty and Family Guy, where they'll get to the end of the episode and they'll be like, "What were we trying to learn here?" And then they'll be like, "Oh, maybe it was this." No, that doesn't sound right.
at all.
So it once again, tropes come from somewhere. It's because we'll get these shows that like you feel like there should be a lesson here, but you can't quite pinpoint what it is. And if you can't pinpoint what the lesson is, it was a bad lesson.
Or it was a non-existent lesson.
Exactly.
And that's just as bad as
So,
a bad lesson.
We want to try and put something out into the world that can give children something to A, look forward to, but B, learn from.
Benefit
the
from.
first episode that we did. We have a bunch, and actually, if you
They're
go
on
on,
there.
if you go into the GoFundMe, you can see our ideas for episodes. But we had some other ideas for episodes. But the reason why we chose that one is A, it's a little bit more of a lighthearted lesson without it being too heavy. But B, it is an important episode. I watched the episode and felt compelled to donate, so I did. This is so amazing. Thank you so much, Suntail.
Thank you,
really
Suntail.
appreciate that. But
that means a lot.
That's what we're going for. The first. If you didn't understand, if you've seen the episode and you didn't understand the lesson, maybe you weren't just watching close enough. Because the lesson of it all is...
Well, which one? That's another thing, too.
Yeah, there's multiple lessons.
peppered throughout
Yeah,
it.
like-
That something that's too good to be true
Probably is.
That
you need a balanced diet to stay healthy. You can't just eat sweets all
Nope.
the time.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. Hard work
Hard
can yield
work.
good results.
Teamwork can yield even better results. Mm-hmm. That you know.
Don't be
compassion-
afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If there's something you don't know how to do, reach out to someone who does. There are
so many different lessons,
yeah,
but they're so cleverly
yes,
disguised.
they're presented in such a joyful and happy way that
you don't realize you're
even
learning
realize
something.
Exactly.
And that is the best way to learn when you don't even know you're learning. That's when you're sitting there like this. Oh God, come on! If that's how you're learning, you're fighting it.
Yeah,
you're resisting.
There
But when you're like that,
yeah, there used to be this game that I played in grade school. We still had subliminal learning. Exactly. We had we still had computers back when I was a kid. I'm not that old yet. And we would play this old like reading game. Once you finished your assignment on the computer, you could play these educational games. And I played this reading game. I need that reach out for help episode. Exactly. Watch the first episode, man. It's got that lesson in there. But I would play this reading game, and it was like this horror-themed castle, and you had to go through and discover the mystery behind it all, the spooky castle, and you had to type things, you had to read things. It tested your reading comprehension, but it was presented in such a clever way, I didn't even realize that I was learning something. And because of that, I have a great love for reading, and it was these things, obviously not just that, but these things and encouragement at home that made it so I wanted to read, and those lessons can still be taught today. We just got to be more clever with how we do it, because there is.
But our kids deserve it.
They
though.
do.
That's the other thing too is the kids don't deserve what they've been getting. They deserve so much more. And there's two things that you can do in this life. You can either stand up and do something about it, or don't. And that's it, man. There really is no in between.
And at some point, we were no longer content with standing by and not doing anything about it.
Couldn't. I've never been the type of person that's going to complain about something and not be willing to do something about it.
And
I just
actually,
never have been.
I do want to mention this because I think it will give a little more credence to the official nature of what we're doing here. We're coming out here. I'm essentially, I'm a public figure at this point. Maybe not a big public figure, but I'm out there. I don't hide anything. This is my face. This is his face. This is what we look like. If you looked us up, you could probably find us. We're not doing this because we're trying to make money or anything. If we were, you would not see us here right now. We'd be talking with people with a bunch of money and figuring out how to get it from them. we really genuinely want to do something special for the world, for kids, for the future. Even if it's a small impact, even if it can create the smallest ripple can have the greatest impact. And that's what we're going for. That's why we're doing it this way. We're doing it in a way in which the wholesome nature of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to convey, can be properly shown, can be properly done.
And doesn't get lost in commercialism.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what would happen.
Oh, yeah, and you know what? We did try and go that route initially, just to see what it was like. And we basically got yeah, your idea's pretty good, but what if we change the whole thing?
Yeah, what if we change the dragon? We'll make him so he's not purple anymore. He's going to be green now, and then we're going to do... And I'm like, wait a second, what
this isn't an idea. This is a fully fleshed out concept.
Yeah,
this is a fully fleshed out thing. This isn't like, oh, you see this picture on this napkin? Wouldn't it be neat if we did something? No, this is like literally like 40 years of
prepping.
Of creation, of shaping, of molding. It's real, and we didn't exactly. It's tangible. It's real, man. We've seen it. We got it.
I mean, heck, there's a T-shirt.
2 T-shirts.
Holy moly! Actually,
there's far more than that.
I was gonna say there's like 18 T-shirts. So yeah, if you get a chance to look at those too.
Yeah.
See,
check out the website. There's so many cool little things.
If you guys would be willing to do that, take a look at the website, see what's there. You know, one of the reasons we're doing this right now is so that we know
raising awareness.
We know that this is a powerful platform. Okay, we know that the people that are on here can have that ripple effect, and really what we're hoping for is that you're gonna hear us today.
And a coffee mug.
You're gonna and a coffee mug. You're gonna hear us today, and maybe something that we say resonates with you, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna go check this thing out, and then you check it out, and you see something, and you go, wow, you know what, maybe there's something here. And then you share that information with somebody else. Or maybe you decide that hey, you know what, I'm going to throw a couple bucks toward this thing because, you know, if we have enough people that are willing to do that, we can do this. And one of the other, like, this is some of the reality-based stuff about this, is that when we are successful in raising the funds that we're trying to raise right now, okay, first off, as the funds come in, as soon as we hit production thresholds, we're going to start production.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not waiting until we have the full amount to get. No, as soon as we have that first amount
as soon as we have
available,
enough.
Boom, we are on it. And what that actually means...
And there will be updates about production as well.
But what that actually means, though, and I want to put this in context for everybody, is that means that people who aren't working right now are going to have an opportunity to work. We have voice actors, sound production, you know, video editing, all of that stuff. There's people waiting in the wings in order to make that happen. So right off the bat, this thing goes, and we're employing people, which to me is an amazing thing.
And more importantly, like a lot of our voice actors and stuff, they're first timers. We do have a couple that have some experience, but a lot of them are first timers. Yeah. And as someone who wants to break into the voice-over industry themselves, man, that first role, especially that first paid role, that hits differently. That's that aha, like, oh my god, I really can do this. And
someone was willing to give me money for talking.
Exactly, and to be that person for someone.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat experience. Like when we were talking, I mean, and for those of you who don't know, we actually we've got a couple of Twitch favorites that are actually part of the project now.
Lord DSB, Broadway Panda.
Lord DSB is now our announcer,
our narrator.
I mean, because he's got that fantastic,
smooth voice, country drawl.
So we're like, we need to put this thing to good use.
That'd be a waste.
And then Broadway Panda, if you've never heard her, she's an amazing,
splendid vocalist,
singer. She's amazing, but she also has a great speaking voice too. Well, she's now the Princess of Dreamland. You know, so it's like, we've been able to incorporate some people into this that we've met along the way. And that's the way we like to do things. I don't want to just run out and go, because here's the way it normally works in Hollywood. You have an idea like this, you take it to somebody, they're going to pay you a whole bunch of money, then they're going to take it, they're going to rebuild the whole thing, they're going to go find a couple of
And you know what would make it good? If Beyonce was in it.
Yeah, they'll get a couple of notable names, whether they're good for the role or not. Notable names that people will gravitate towards, and then people will spend a whole bunch of money on this thing, and then we sit back and collect all this dough. That's the way the way the industry normally works. What we're trying to do is, we want to do this from our freaking bootstraps, man. We're doing this as low as possible. We looked some stuff up, and the average for an actual, like, network production cartoon is close to about $300,000-$400,000 an episode. An episode.
Well, so we're doing it 10%.
10%. I mean, we found some that their budgets are in excess of $2, $3, $4 million an episode. Okay, we've been able to figure out how to get it done for $30,000, and this is like top quality stuff.
Which obviously not chump change.
Yeah, it's not chump change, but
I mean, it's chump change in the industry.
Our animator, he won an Emmy.
Yes.
For animation that he's done in the past,
and specifically for an educational
for PBS. So it's like we were even going to go the PBS route. We were looking at possibly going the Nat.
We submitted.
But the reality is, things are so messed up right now. I have no idea how long it would take for them to even get to it.
Yeah, they say,
I don't want to wait.
They say it'll take 4 to 6 weeks, but that doesn't count.
Maybe 40 to 60 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. In normal time.
Yeah, in normal time. That's not COVID time.
No.
COVID time is, you got to times that by 10.
Yeah, it's like dog years.
So, and we're just like, this is something that's needed now. Because even now, man, it's like still production time. It takes about a month to a month and a half to actually get one of these episodes completely done. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're considering helping us out, okay, please keep all of the factors in mind. It's like, If you think this is something that is worthwhile enough to be willing to throw some dough towards it, first off, it's appreciated more than you can ever imagine. But if you feel that way, please tell some other people about it. Let them know. Because if we can get this thing going quickly, I mean, how many times have we seen a video go viral and it's just a pointless, worthless, mindless drivel?
Yeah, it's just someone.
It just gets out there. Somebody doing it, and all of a sudden that person becomes an internet millionaire overnight because of ad revenue. You know what? That's not how I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this so that real people who are going to benefit from this can have the opportunity to be a benefactor. To be a part of it. To be a part of it, literally, so that they can say, hey, you know what? If when this thing gets out there and it's actually helping kids learn valuable life lessons, and it's teaching stuff that a child, it's helping with their development. When that happens, man,
look,
I'd want to be a part of that. I think most people would.
A lot of you are obviously Twitch viewers, considering you're on Twitch. But have you ever given money to a content creator you really enjoyed?
Yeah, have you ever given a bit? Have you ever given a sub?
For that. The reason why is because you feel they're producing something that you want them to continue producing, that you can get behind, that you're like, yeah, I enjoy this, and I want other people to enjoy this, so I'm going to encourage them to keep doing it. That's what this project is. This project is something very special, something that has genuine value, that can bring light to a world that needs it so desperately.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. So if that's an ideology or that's something you can get behind, join us on this journey. Help us make this a reality, because we really want to. We need to. Yeah. It's gonna sound. I'm gonna get up on my soapbox for a second. This is something that can genuinely help the world, even if by little. If one child sees this and it changes their life, it's worth it. But that means it has to be there. It has to be made, and it has to exist. And by gummit, we're going to do it.
Yeah, by gummit. 100%. We're going to do it. And we're hoping that we can do it with your help.
Yes.
Because that's really, at the end of the day, that's really what it's going to take. We're hoping that this is a project that is going to be able to grow and blossom to become something that can help society. Well, if that's going to be the case, you know who we're going to talk to then to see if they would be willing to help? Society. Why? Because they are the ones who are going to benefit.
Yeah, I don't care what Johnny Bigwig thinks about our idea.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care what the network executives and all the. I understand what their motivations are, and unfortunately, what their motivations are not what this project.
Their
is
motivations
all about.
aren't what's best for the world. It's what's best for my wallet.
Exactly. And when I see someone else's kid, I see potential. I see possibility. I do not see dollar signs. I just don't. I don't see I don't see kids like that. I see children as it's going to sound so cliche, but really, the children are the future. And it's like right now, if we look, my generation. I'm 52 years old. Okay, I'm 52. I know. Just shut up. I'm 52. If my generation doesn't wake up pretty damn quick and realize that if we don't start making some changes for the youth of this world, not just this country, but this world, that the world that we're living in 20 years from now is not going to be a place that anybody is going to want to be in. We need to, look, we know there's problems. So what are we going to do? Are we going to sit around and gripe and complain about it? Or are we going to do something? And doing something could be as little as throwing $5 towards something that you believe in. And you know what? It doesn't necessarily have to be my project, okay?
No.
And that I'm putting that out there. If you help us out, it is so appreciated. But if you don't, you know what? It's okay. But
if you don't help us out, help someone out. Yes.
Find a need.
Perpetuate that cycle of giving.
Yes. Because when you start doing that,
that's how you change shit.
That is how you change. You change the world, man. You don't change the world by, you don't have to do something ginormous. It's something small can become
butterfly
ginormous.
effect.
Exactly.
There's a bunch of movies about that. You step on a single butterfly, and then in the future, everyone's dinosaurs. But like, you can do that in a good way too. I think Vanilla Ice said it best. Hey, you got a problem? Yo, I'll solve it. Check out the beat while my DJ performs it. Stop. Collaborate and listen. But yeah, no, seriously, see a need, fill a need. You got a problem? Let's work together. Look, problems are way easier solved if we do it together.
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
This isn't something we have to tackle alone. And together, monkey strong. Caesar said it best. So let's work together to make a real difference.
Nice Planet of the Apes reference, by the way. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I just, we don't want to take up much more of your time, you guys. We figured we were going to be talking for about an hour, and that's where we're pretty much at. So I just want to say again, first, thank you first and foremost for taking the time to listen to this and check this out. We really appreciate it. If you do decide to help us out, it's going to be even more appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to throw a little something towards the GoFundMe campaign, if you can tell other people about it, stop by our store. Maybe be the first in your area to sport one of these awesome Dream Dragon shirts, and you can be a fashion trendsetter. If you throw something towards this, and when we get to the point we can start producing this, you literally will be helping employ somebody. And you know what? It's great for the environment. I don't know exactly how,
but throwing that in there.
Got to be good for the environment.
These shirts are reusable.
Yes, exactly. These are renewable shirts. I've worn them more than once.
That's a good point though. If you don't got the money for it, share it. That's fine. You can still make a difference without showing.
Support comes in so many different ways, and that's why don't feel obligated to. That's one of the things I've always admired about him with the stream is when he's talking to people, when they donate bits to him and things. I know how he feels about it. I know how much he appreciates that.
It don't matter if it's 1 bit or a million bits. It's the fact that you thought your thought was, I would like to give you money for what you are doing. That's a huge compliment, and I will take it as the compliment it is. And
so we take it the same way.
On that same note, though, when someone doesn't donate, but they say, "Oh, so and so sent me here," that's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's incredible to think that I was enough of something for them to tell someone else about.
Yeah, there's one thing to give a little bit of your money. There's another thing to give a little of your reputation.
That's true.
Because if you tell somebody, you should go check this out, and then they go and check it out, and that person's a complete poop, you've just tarnished your own reputation.
Yeah.
So that's why it is appreciated, any level of support. And I hope you guys understand what we mean by that. It's not just financial.
Hey, Tommy.
Any level of support.
Yeah, Tommy, this is a little special stream talking about a project that I'm part of.
It's so appreciated.
Yes.
It really is. It's so appreciated because, this has been a lifelong dream, and it really has. And I've tried to involve people that I care about. That's why my son is a couple of the vocal characters.
Although it wasn't just a gimme, I had to come up with the voices and show him that they were good before I did it.
There were some changes that were done to him.
There were.
Don't think that as his father that he opens up his mouth and I'm just like,
okay,
that's his mother. I'm not that way. She's completely enamored by anything he does. He can do no wrong. He can do plenty of wrong in my eyes.
Especially when it comes to professional stuff.
Yes. But you know what?
We do have
stepped out, when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, this is Dad. Can you tell?
Hold on, I gotta get closer there. Wait, everything's backwards. Yes, I am Big Daddy Dreamer. For those who have seen me in the chat, and maybe I've tossed a bit or two to you in your stream.
Yeah,
and that's another thing too, like that. Like when we go in, when we're watching Daniel's stream and we go and raid somebody, I will always throw 100 bits to whoever we raid.
Yep.
Every single time. I don't even if I don't know who they are and I haven't seen them, because all I'm trying to do is let them know that there's somebody out
Thanks
there.
for the bits, baby.
There's somebody out there that recognizes their effort and wants to lend their support. And whether or not in the big scheme of things, my dollar really does that much for them, I think it's more about the fact that somebody that they don't know is willing to lend their support to something that they're working hard towards.
Yes.
And that's the reason that I do it. And so I guess that's kind of what we're just asking here. If you see something that you feel is worthy of your support, that's the other thing too. I have always been very realistic in that. If you don't think it's something worthy of your support, then by all means do
Don't
not
support
support it. I'm 100% behind that.
Realistic.
But if you do feel that it's worthy of your support, please support it as much as you can. And that means, and as much as you can means, well, if you can throw a couple bucks towards it, fantastic. If you can't,
Share it. Tell people
tell some
about
people
it.
about it. You know, get a copy of the book. If you have a little kid in your life that might enjoy the picture book,
Hey, Slavenity.
get a copy of it. You know, because any level of support helps,
Absolutely.
and every level of support helps.
Yes.
So
all that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in for
Absolutely.
this stream. But like I said, this was a little bit of a different stream. I will still be streaming today. So if you want to hear me sing, it's Wednesday karaoke with Vivi Chan, who's in the chat right now. We're going to be doing a stream together from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. Super excited to be doing that. Once again, I want to thank Big Daddy Dreamer himself for coming on and helping me talk about this. This is his baby. This is his project.
And
I mean, I'm his baby, but this is his baby as well.
I would like to also thank Benaniel here for the opportunity to hop onto the stream.
Serenity Big Daddy is not he likes music, but he's not exactly the singing type anymore.
Okay, I had a bad experience with chorus.
Yes.
So I'll throw this one out there just so you guys know why I don't sing. Okay, first off, my voice changed, and when it did, I lost a lot of control.
He didn't keep up
I
the
lost a lot of
practice,
control.
so the control went.
I mean, I can mess around.
Oh, yeah.
What's that one song? It's I went down to the burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames got higher, and it burns, burns, burns. So I can do that kind of stuff. I play around. I've always been smart enough to know if I don't do something really good, I don't do it. Okay? So I was in choir, 7th grade. I got the lead role as
You're
Charlie
a good
Brown
man, Charlie Brown.
in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. You're a prince, and a prince should be king. With something such as yours, you could open any doors. You could go out and do anything. You could be King Charlie Brown. Okay? But there was only 2 boys in the entire class, okay? And there were a lot of girls. And I was like 12 years old. And I would play with the girls' hair when we were on our risers practicing. So I had gotten the lead, and then all of a sudden, I got kicked out of the production. So I watched it from the audience. And
that's rough.
Man, you want to talk about a punch to the gut? And after that, man, I was just like, and I had a really nice voice. Before my voice changed, I probably could have been one of those, like, what's the boy choir that they don't have, like the Vienna Boys Choir? My voice was like that. I mean, I was like, I could hit some really high notes.
Yeah, he learned that lesson, Tommy. He knows better now.
Yeah, so yeah.
But that was the
But that's
catalyst.
the reason I don't sing, man.
But
But
No Balls Boy Choir. Yeah, basically.
Yes, that's actually what I was almost going to say that. I'm like, wait a second, Jerry, you got to watch what you say, man. That's you're talking about your children's project. You don't want to start saying weird stuff. But no, that's the only reason that I don't sing. But that's also the reason that I have encouraged him since day one. Because when I saw that it was something that was a passion for him, I wanted to make sure that I stood behind it.
I don't care about singing. I
No,
never
I know
sing.
you don't.
When have I sang?
Except for every day of his freaking life.
What do you mean? I've never sung a song before.
Well, look, okay, people don't know this too. I actually
Vivi-
birthed him. I birthed
He
him.
did. He
I
did.
pulled.
Pulled
I
me out.
literally took him out of his mother. My hands were the first to hold him. And I'm going to tell you, when he came out, I looked at him, he looked at me, and he said, "Hello, is it
Hello?
me you're waiting for?"
Yep.
But no, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity for this. I want to thank everybody who's in the chat, anybody who's watching the video of this, the playback, the VOD.
Video on demand.
I know. Why just call it video? Of course it's on demand.
shorthand.
That's why it's a video.
It's shorthand.
Okay, but for anybody who's watching this, again, I want to thank you for taking your time to that shows your support. Just taking the time to watch this, okay? I really appreciate that. If we can count on you for additional support, that's fantastic. We really appreciate it. So thank you everybody who's watching this, anybody who's donated and made a contribution to it. Really appreciate it. Appreciate Bananiel because, he doesn't have to do this for me. He doesn't. He could be like, hey, Dad, it's going to cramp my style or it's going to mess up my stream. My stream has a certain expectation. So I want to thank him for that. I want to thank you guys too for also being willing to listen to all this and maybe take an action that can help this thing move along even faster because these problems are not going to go away and they're going to continue to build.
So we gotta get the jump on it while we can.
We need to do something about it faster.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah, better than a pound.
Yes,
100%.
So all that said, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm actually gonna find someone to raid. I think Sketchy Emmy might be streaming right now, and she's a nice wholesome gal. So that might be a good... Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and raid Sketchy Emmy, guys. She is a complete sweetheart. I cannot recommend her enough. If you haven't checked out her... Yeah, I was going to say, I know Barry knows Sketchy. Thank you so much for watching, guys.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
But I'm looking at the time, and it's looking like about that time. We'll be turning in for this stream, so I'd like to thank you for tuning in for the stream. I'm the Bananiel, and this is Big Daddy Dreamer, and we would like to thank you for watching and being here today.
100%.
Until 6 p.m. tonight, I will catch you later. Adios, guys. Let's get this raid underway.
But in the meantime, dare to dream.
We are raiding in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get this raid going, guys. Bye!